Have you ever stared into your cat's eyes and thought, what do they actually see when they look at me? Do they recognize you as their human? Or is their perception something far stranger? What science and feline behavior suggest might. Surprise, your cat's view of you isn't just different from yours. It's something almost alien. You might think you're the one in control, the provider, the caretaker, but in your cat's eyes, the story might be completely reversed. Understanding how cats see and interpret the world opens a door into a hidden layer of your relationship. One built not on visual cues, but on behavior, rhythm, and energy. And it turns out their perspective is a lot more intimate, a lot more personal than most people ever imagine. Cats don't see the world like we do. Their vision is wired for dawn and dusk, those transitional hours when they'd normally be hunting. While humans see in vibrant color thanks to our trichromatic vision, cats experience a more subdued palette. They can distinguish blues and greens reasonably well, but reds and pinks barely register. That red shirt you're wearing, I might just look like a gray smudge to them. On top of that, their visual sharpness is significantly lower. If you're standing 6 feet away making a funny face, your cat isn't catching the details, but they will notice the tiniest flick of your hand or shift in your posture. Their eyes are motion detectors, tuned not for detail, but for changes. This is why cats can lock onto a twitching mouse tail but seem indifferent to your smile. When it comes to recognizing you visually, they don't. Not the way dogs do. Cats aren't face-oriented animals. They identify you through your voice, your scent, your routines. You could walk by holding a photo of yourself, and your cat wouldn't give it a second look. But shake their food bag at the right time of day, and they're on it. The truth is, cats understand identity through patterns of behavior. You're not a two-legged creature to them, you're a presence, a pattern, a sound, and a smell. The person who feeds them, who speaks in a certain way, who sits in the same chair every night, becomes someone they recognize deeply. It's not about what you look like. It's about how you make them feel. And more than that, you're not necessarily human in their minds. Cats don't make the same rigid distinctions between species that we do. To them, you're just a particularly large, consistent companion that happens to walk upright and open doors. This is why cats get so thrown off when we change our routines. If you suddenly alter the way you talk to them, change feeding times, or stop responding to their cues, it's not just confusing, it's distressing. You're part of their internal landscape, their emotional map. And when that map shifts, they lose their grounding. What's even more interesting is how cats use their own behaviors to bond with us. When they rub against your legs, headbutt your chin, or slow blink at you, they're not mimicking dogs or trying to get your attention. They're performing cat-to-cat social gestures. These are the same things they do with other cats. Cats don't operate in packs like dogs, but they do form close territory-based social groups. When your cat nuzzles you or brings you a toy or even a dead insect, they're treating you like a trusted peer. You're not above them, and you're not a separate kind of creature. You're a colony member, a family member, a feline in disguise. This bond is powerful, and it's why cats often show affection in ways that can seem confusing to humans. You're not being gifted a sock or a leaf at random. It's an offering, a sign of shared connection. But the most profound layer of this bond is one that turns everything upside down. Many feline behaviorists believe that your cat doesn't just see you as a peer, they see you as a parent, specifically as their mother. Think about how kittens behave. They need their mother's belly to stimulate milk. They meow for attention. They follow her from room to room. Adult cats do all these things, but mostly around humans. They don't meow to each other. They meow to us. They don't need the carpet. They need your lap. They lie down beside you when you're unwell. Cry at the door when you leave. These aren't just cute behaviors. They're imprints of early kittenhood playing out over a lifetime. Even grooming rituals, licking your skin, nibbling your fingers, rubbing their face on yours are echoes of the most secure bond they've ever known. You are their anchor, their warmth, their security blanket. Some still believe cats are aloof or emotionally distant, that they only hang around because we feed them. But cats are deeply emotional creatures. They form memories, they build associations, they notice your moods. When you're stressed, they might avoid you or hover nearby. When you're grieving, they curl up close. When you're happy, they play more, seek you out. These are not random behaviors. They're proof of emotional responsiveness, a depth of connection that most people never give cats credit for. Your cat doesn't just acknowledge your presence, they depend on it emotionally. And they respond to it in quiet, consistent ways. Whether they meow during your Zoom meetings, curl up next to you on tough days, or mirror your sleep schedule, they're reacting to your emotional state. They're not passive, they're present. Territory is another vital element. Cats define their world through space. Everything in your home is marked, known, remembered. And you're part of that landscape. Your scent, your movements, your voice all are woven into the structure of their environment. That's why your absence is so disruptive. It's not just that you're gone, it's that the structure of their world has a gap in it. Anxious, meowing, or sudden aloofness aren't personality defects. They're territorial responses to change. You are their environment as much as the couch or the window perch. And when you leave, their world becomes unbalanced. Cats are masters of reading body language. You may not think you're saying anything when you stand in a room or reach for the cupboard, but your cat is watching. Every posture, every microgesture, every breath, your cat learns what they mean. Sudden movements, loud noises, or erratic behavior can frighten or confuse them. But slow, deliberate motion, eye contact followed by a blink, a calm voice all. These tell your cat, I'm safe. You're safe. Over time, this becomes a silent language that forms the foundation of your relationship. Even the tone of your voice plays a role. Your words may not matter, but the pitch, cadence, and emotional energy behind them are everything. Cats learn the music of your speech. A soft voice becomes a cue for closeness. A harsh tone becomes a warning. They may not know what dinner means, but they know how you say it. Your voice is more than sound, it's memory. It's reassurance. It's the soundtrack of their home, and just like children, cats develop attachment styles based on how we treat them. A cat raised with consistency, affection, and safe boundaries will become secure, curious, independent, and emotionally stable. A cat who experiences unpredictability, neglect, or tension may develop anxious or avoidant behaviors. They may cling too much or withdraw entirely. This isn't because they're difficult, it's because their model of love was shaped by what they lived through. You're not just a caregiver, you're a formative emotional influence. So next time your cat stares at you, don't just wonder what they see, wonder what they feel, because to them, you're not just a tall, blurry figure in their line of two. Sight, you're a memory, a comfort, a constant. You're a friend, a sibling, a mother. You're part of their world in a way that transcends words, categories, or logic. And that bond, as strange and beautiful as it is, it's one of the most profound relationships you may ever have with a creature who doesn't speak your language, but understands your heart. If we understand how deeply our cats bond with us, not through visuals or spoken words, but through rhythm, energy, and emotional resonance, then we must also understand what this means for their memory. Cats, despite their quiet demeanor, have surprisingly strong emotional memory. They remember moments that mattered. That means the day you adopted them, the time you left for a week, the day you came home from the hospital or broke down in tears. Of it can leave a lasting impression in their internal world. These aren't just fleeting instances for them. They're bookmarks in the story they're writing about you. Cats store emotional memory not as a timeline, but as a pattern of sensory experience, how you smelled, the sound of your voice, the energy you carried. That's why they may avoid you for a day when you return from a long trip, not out of punishment, but because something in their map shifted. And it takes a moment to re-dash anchor. Many people don't realize that cats don't hold grudges. The way we do, their memory doesn't label things as right or wrong. It labels them as safe or unsafe, familiar or disruptive. If you ever shouted in frustration or moved suddenly and scared your cat, they may remember that not as a one-time event, but as a ripple in the environment. It doesn't mean they don't love you, it means they're trying to recalibrate their sense of safety. And once they do, they'll return. Because loyalty in cats doesn't come from obedience, it comes from trust. And that trust is incredibly resilient when it's nurtured over time. Every pet owner wonders what their cat remembers. Do they recall the exact moment you brought them home? Do they remember the first time they curled up on your chest? The answer is probably not in the way we do. They remember through feeling, through sensation, through repetition. They may not recall the date you brought them in from the shelter, but they'll remember the warmth of the blanket you wrapped them in, the way you said their name, the calm you projected. That's why consistency is so vital in a cat's world. Repetition reinforces emotional security. It builds memory layers. And when those layers are safe, your cat thrives. Some cats will even go through visible grief when their human disappears. If you've ever lost a family member or had to rehome another pet, you might notice your cat behaving differently, eating less, hiding more, crying at doors. This isn't dramatics. It's real emotional response. Cats bond. And when that bond is broken, they mourn in their own silent way. They may wait at the window, sleep in your shoes, sit on your belongings. They're not confused. They're holding space for what's missing. Even more touching is the way cats return to old memories. Move to a new house, and your cat might search for favorite sleeping spots or corners that no longer exist. Pull out a blanket you haven't used in years, and they might curl into it like it holds a part of them. Because it does. Their scent, their comfort, their history, it's all woven into the fabric of your shared life. This emotional depth is why cats often form the strongest bonds with people who treat them as equals, not as toys or accessories, but as sentient companions with their own feelings, boundaries, and attachments. Understanding how cats process memory also changes how we see their behavior. A cat who hides during storms isn't being silly. They remember the last loud noise and how it felt. A cat who jumps onto your lap every night at the same time isn't just following routine, they're leaning into comfort. Into a moment that feels right because it always has. It's the emotional rhythm they've come to trust. And while cats may not express affection with the same outward intensity as dogs, the subtlety of their love makes it no less real. In fact, it makes it more profound. It's a slow blink from across the room, a gentle paw on your arm, a purr that rises when your hand reaches them. These are acts of recognition, of familiarity, of safety. They mean I know you, I trust you, I choose you. Perhaps the most poetic part of this relationship is how mutual it becomes. As much as your cat builds an emotional map of you, you build one of them. You learn their habits, their quirks, their favorite hiding spots and sounds. You know when something's off. You feel their moods shift. You anticipate their needs. Without even realizing it, you've created your own silent language. And in that shared language, in that invisible thread that connects your behaviors, and there's a relationship flourishes that's unlike any other. It's a bond not based on dependency, but on coexistence. You don't own your cat any more than they own you. You share a space, a life, an emotional wavelength. And through that shared existence, you both evolve. You become more patient, more intuitive, more aware, and your cat, they become more open, more trusting, more expressive. The bond shapes both of you in quiet but powerful ways, so the next time your cat sits beside you, not on you, not purring, not doing anything flashy, just sitting quietly in your presence, recognize what's happening. That's not indifference. That's deep trust. That's a creature whose entire evolutionary background tells it to be cautious, choosing to let its guard down with you. And that choice every single day is the heart of your relationship. And maybe, just maybe, that's the most powerful kind of love there is, the kind that doesn't need to be loud to be real, the kind that doesn't shout but shows up every day. In small gestures, in soft paws, in steady eyes. Your cat may never say I love you, but they say it in the language they know best, through presence, through pattern, through trust. If this video helped you understand your cat a little more deeply, consider subscribing and joining a community of fellow feline minds who care about what truly makes the cat-human bond so extraordinary. And in the next video, we'll explore what your cat really remembers: the smells, the moments, the experiences that leave lasting marks in their emotional world.